It's tweets like this where the fetishization of guns in right-wing politics seems even more ghastly than normal. But this obsession has become so fully normalized, it's an unremarkable part of conservative politics. Here's just one example to choose among many. Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, her claim to fame, the thing that helped launch her into politics, was her ownership of Shooter's Grill in Rifle, Colorado, a restaurant where staff carried firearms openly. Writer Jeff Sharlet visited Shooters before it closed last year for his new book, Undertow: Scenes from a Slow Civil War. A chapter is excerpted in a new Vanity Fair article, which recounts, among other things, Charlotte's conversation with a fellow Shooters customer, David G. Things, said David G., are going down the hole fast. How will I know when things are going down the hole, I asked. You get into city areas, you'll see the people. Which people? The instigators. I'd see them fighting in the streets. When I say it's going down the hole fast, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about those of us who have less tolerance for the instigators. So some will resort to, let's just say, other methods. Jeff Sharlet, author of that fantastic new book, joins me now. Jeff, this book, which is a remarkable piece of work, I'm working my way through it. One of the central themes is the obsession with violence, this kind of apocalyptic waiting for violence, and the view of guns, not in the context of sport, certainly, and not even in the context really of I need to protect my own home, but explicitly as arming oneself for a violent struggle to come.
Yeah, I've been reporting on right-wing movements in the United States for 20 years and traveling back and forth across the country. Since January 6th, I've seen more guns than in all the years before that. And, you know, it's not just places like Shooter's Grill, which is sort of leading with guns, but churches. Churches that have their own militias. The first militia church I went to, I thought was a fluke. And then I started to realize that churches were arming up with the expectation of civil war. And I think that's different than the gun culture of the past. The doomsday prepper of the fringe has become a mainstay of right-wing culture.
The subtitle of the book, Scenes from a Slow Civil War, is a very evocative phrase. And, I'm worried about calling something into being by naming it, right? I mean, why that term? Did you wrestle with using that on the book's cover? What do you mean by a slow civil war?
I did, and I've been resisting terms like civil war and before that fascism for a long time. I'm cautious. History moves slowly. And yet I think at the moment, the slow civil war, you could call it a kind of Cold War, but there are casualties. In Nashville, Tennessee, there were casualties. Women who are bleeding out for lack of reproductive rights are casualties. The nearly 20 states that are criminalizing queer kids like my own, those places are making casualties. And in the terms of the gun culture, when you have, at a weekly skirmishes where Oath Keepers, Three Percenters, Proud Boys showing up with AR-15s outside of libraries, schools, hospitals, we're at a simmer now. We are at a simmer. That doesn't make it inevitable. I don't think we have to call into being, but I think we have to be aware of the threat level, as some of the right-wingers would say.
You have a chapter in there about Ashley Babbitt, who, of course, is the woman who was shot and killed as she attempted to vault through a broken window into the chamber of the House by a Capitol Police officer. She has become a kind of martyr figure for many on the far right, including to Donald Trump, who has celebrated her. The mother of Ashley Babbitt met with a representative from Kevin McCarthy's staff. Tell me about what you learned about the sort of culture around Ashley Babbitt and her death.
Well, as soon as I saw Ashley Babbitt killed, and she's often spoken of as unarmed, but she wasn't. She was carrying a pretty nasty little knife. That's the knife on the cover. That's the evidence photo. As soon as I saw her death on January 6th, and you could see the hands of the police officer who killed her, and he was a black man. And because I'm an American and I study American history and mythology, I knew what the right was going to do with that. And sure enough, within days, they were telling the same old story, the lynching story. They were aging Ashley back, making her a martyr. They would say she was smaller, younger, almost as if whiter, as if a little white girl. There's a lot of people speak of the right as a death cult, but I think in some ways we can understand it as an innocence cult. They want to be innocent of history, innocent of race, and Ashley Babbitt served as this whiteness martyr. So now you have this situation where the Proud Boys hand out challenge coins with Ashley's face on it. There are Ashley Babbitt flags. And one more in the name of love, tweets Representative Paul Gosar, retooling a U2 song for Martin Luther King for Ashley Babbitt. Hashtag say her name, they say, retooling a hashtag created for Black women for Ashley Babbitt. I went to a rally where Ashley Babbitt's mother spoke, turned into a brawl between Proud Boys and counter-protesters. Black Lives Matter protesters were chanting Black Lives Matter. It was the birthday of Breonna Taylor. And the Ashley Babbitt crowd started counter-chanting Ashley Babbitt. And that was their answer to Black Lives Matter, one white woman.
Jeff Sharlet, as you said, you've been reporting on this. You're one of my favorite nonfiction writers anywhere, just an incredible writer, an incredible reporter. And this book is, I think, among your best work ever. It's called The Undertow, Scenes from a Slow Civil War. You can get it wherever books are sold. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.